fabulous idea. I love it. What about you?
Yeah, far out.
Pretty nice.
Out of sight. It's nice.
Think it's
the first
groovy?
time they came down here because, you know, we were on where I live out in the island, you know what I mean? And we wanted to come down to see what was going on.
It's terrific. Tell Mayor Lindsay he did a beautiful job.
What do you think of Fifth Avenue today?
Well, I don't know. It looked like nice.
Have you been shopping?
Yes, I do. I like it better than this, but I don't like a Lindsay.
Well, this is the first time I've experienced it. I usually play golf on Saturday, and I'm very pleased that the people are going to get a little pure air for a short time.
I think it's great. I think it should be like this every day. I'm Peter Sprague.
How do you like the street today?
I think it's great. It's tremendous.
What do you think of the people?
Oh, very fine. I'm running for Congress here, and I've been going around talking to a lot of them, and everybody seems to like what's happened, closing down the street. I think people are in a good humor. They're not down on politicians, because for once they see something politicians have done that makes them feel better instead of worse.
Do you think it interferes with the shopping at all?
It does not. We're doing more shopping now than we ever did. We're more relaxed.
How do you like Fifth Avenue today?
It's great. It's fun. I wish I was on a bike.
Do you think it interferes with the shopping, all these people?
Interferes with the shopping, or when people walk down the street, they can be attracted to the stores and go in. I don't see why it would interfere with the shopping.
So attracted by walking down the street, they don't want to stop at the stores.
Well, we're going shopping.
No, we're not.
Every year, our cities become more unpleasant as places to meet, more nightmarish to live and work in, and the last places where we want to spend our leisure time. So, if we could afford it, we rush away, but often to other cities, like this. What Venice gives us is not essentially a history lesson or an architectural museum. It's simply a humane experience, a city in human scale. Its crooked streets are made for people, not for machines. Its noises are friendly. Its atmosphere is relaxed. And its great plaza, the Piazza San Marco, feels like the center of the city. It exerts a magnetic force on everyone to stop by, if only for its homely show of people and pigeons enjoying themselves.
We have no such heritage in our cities. Our downtowns by now are slick corporate precincts shaped for the automobiles we have cherished. And we find ourselves with the astonishing task of trying to recapture parts of our cities for people. In Midtown Manhattan, for example, with its tremendous density, there have been only 2 small squares for 40 blocks. In the late 60s, another space was opened as a sort of gift to the people from the head of a big corporation. And small though it is, the new space, Paley Park, is as admirable in its way as the Piazza San Marco. Paley Park is a sanctuary, a refuge from the sheer hardness of the automobile city, a place to act like a human being. Pedestrian is an urban invention. No one ever said he saw a pedestrian on a forest trail or on the golf course. The very word implies a jeopardy that is unique to cities. It says that man is frail considering what's against him. But the problem of the pedestrian is not just physical hazard. Traffic lights and crosswalks don't save him. The problem is stress, which takes its toll on anyone who lives or works in the city. Some cities help you to deal with it.
She's singing in English, but she's Swedish. And the people around her are here because every day something nice like her happens in the middle of their city. This is Stockholm, on a drizzly fall day in the Sergelgatan, a pedestrian shopping project carved out of the heart of the city in the 1960s and still being expanded. It includes 5 office towers, a lot of stores, restaurants and theaters, the opera house, and a square where a public market is often set up. The big department stores are nearby, and with bus lines and subways stopping here, and an underground garage, it's the center point for commuters, and a daily theater of impromptu performances. Sergelgatan has created a purely pedestrian center of gravity for Stockholm. It shows what a successful modern public space can do to humanize a downtown.
Pertanto, quando che lui è netto il 2000 metri, quanto basta? Sì. Dopo, siccome che il svincolo idrologico della zona...
Lorenzo Tacchella and Giorgio Bigignoli like to talk business while walking. In Verona, that's possible, even downtown.
Non l'ho mai più visto. Comprate la barca. Ah, certamente, certamente. Carlotti avrà un sacco di soldi, penso.
Sì.
Ho comprato un prosciutto di quelli... Lei l'ha già mangiato in Jugoslavia, questi prosciutti che hanno secchi?
No, non l'ho mai preso. Non l'ho mai
che
preso.
Sono...
E
poi invece si è comprato il sopravvito, ha cambiato idea. Io compro quel sopravvito...
Io non ho mai preso niente.
Guarda che belle figlioline che passano. Quanta bella roba che fa Malua. Dobbiamo dire le solite cose che diciamo.
E a sentire tutte...
E a vedere tutta questa bella roba che passa, che ci guarda. Glielo dico io che è una bella...
Verona is an industrial city with 250,000 in population. But Dr. Tacchella and Mr. Bigignoli walk right through its center, talking in normal tones and free from hazard. Their only distractions are pleasant ones. Because in Verona, a group of squares, pedestrian streets, and sidewalk promenades have been linked to make some of the most pleasant inner-city walking in the world. People still enjoy walking if the spaces are friendly. The Veronese choke most of their city with traffic, as we do, but they reserve a primary way through town for the walkers. So people shopping and doing business gather here and greet their friends with more than a wave through a car window.
Verona is a lovely and wonderful city, but it grew in Shakespeare's time and in Dante's country, while our cities are something entirely different. They can't and shouldn't be copies of European cities, but we can learn from Europe. I'm an architect, and I've spent many years trying to learn about cities, both here and abroad. I've found that what's good for people in shops over there is also good for people in shops here. Quiet areas, covered sidewalks, sculpture, trees, fountains, the surprise of unexpected things happening along the sidewalk or mall. Dozens of American cities are renewing their downtowns for the benefit of public and merchant alike. Still, we spend billions of dollars on new shopping centers outside of our cities, and only a tiny part of that downtown. The essence of downtown is that it's a place of exchange, of goods, of ideas, of personal services and opportunities. It's a place for cultural events and special experiences, for happenings. Why don't we create an arena for such things to happen where the natural diversity of people and stores makes it most likely, downtown?
The public gathering places in our downtowns are what support the varied life we go to cities to find. When a downtown lacks them, even if it has good shopping, it seems dispensable and trivial. And when a downtown attracts people for the sheer fun of it, like here in Copenhagen, it merits study. Copenhagen has a group of downtown shopping streets and squares called the Stroget, all closed to traffic. It began years ago with just 2 blocks and gradually was lengthened as its success was proved. The city's department stores and best shops line these walking streets.
Department stores encourage impulse buying by putting carts of goods in their aisles and in front of the elevators. This is just how the merchants of Copenhagen clutter the walking streets. And it's good clutter. It makes the street look more active by crowding the people together a little, and an active space is more attractive. The pedestrian enjoys being tempted. People aren't linear. They like to change direction and follow their eyes. One of the best things about pedestrian shopping areas is that they make impulse movement possible. Some cities make this hard. Some make it easy. Lausanne, Switzerland closes 2 prime shopping streets to cars during business hours. In Cologne, almost all major department stores and specialty shops are on 2 intersecting pedestrian streets in the center of the city.
The Ramblas of Barcelona are a downtown attraction which draw huge crowds every day for the pleasures of walking and girl watching. They're like an urban beach.
One reason why the Ramblas are so much more active than similar American places like Commonwealth Avenue in Boston is that the Spanish encourage little retail stands and displays and provide galleries to sit in and watch the promenade, while similar center strips in America don't allow cafes and vendors and as a result are dull and unused.
The entire center of Rotterdam was leveled in the Second World War, and the Dutch had to rethink what a city center should be. The result was the Lijnbaan, the most massive pedestrian commercial center in all Europe.
Rotterdam shows two surprising things. It disproves the argument that outdoor cafes don't work in cool, damp climates. And it shows that if a pedestrian center is big enough and generous enough, it becomes festive, like a fair going on downtown. People come to the Leanbahn just to be there.
In the Spanish town of Gerona, there's a Rambla that could be reproduced anywhere on any street just by changing the balance between autos and people. It's a broad sidewalk, perhaps 60 feet wide, alongside a very narrow auto street. Opposite the street, there are low arcades sheltering shops and displays. Cafes set their tables in the sun or under the arches to suit the weather. It's a remarkably gracious gesture from a small city to its people.
Arcades alone transform some crowded downtown streets into a good experience for the walker. In the industrial cities of northern Italy, Milan and Turin especially, even the newer buildings in the downtown incorporate arcades, so that one can walk for many blocks in their airy shelter, feeling protected not just from the weather, but from the nearby traffic as well.
Why do these downtown pedestrian areas still attract people? Partly because they are the center of the good shopping, of course, not just airline ticket offices. But the details of these spaces are just as important.
The details boil down to simple kindness. In many cities, it's hard to get out of the rain or get quick food or go to the bathroom or find a drinking fountain or even to sit down. And there's nothing interesting happening to watch. The good downtowns work because they show that they care about people.
Crowds gather at the gallery in Milan just to enjoy the space.
A great city would offer us both grandness, to give us a sense of center, and intimacy, to give us a sense of ourselves. Intimacy is something that happens in places like Ghirardelli Square in San Francisco. It's a public place where people feel they can behave privately. They lose their defensiveness. maybe because Ghirardelli has lots of small spaces, little squares, terraces, different levels. There are actually 15 restaurants there, and a couple of theaters, dozens of shops, and a basement garage, but it seems small. One is always discovering more of it.
People argue about whether Ghirardelli Square is just a tourist spot, but regardless of that, it's one of the few city spaces in America that gets people to look relaxed and be affectionate in public, as if they're really enjoying one another. The simple snapshot can tell us a lot about our city, because people take their snapshots in the places they care about. Do people take snapshots in our downtown? A vital downtown is not a plastic place. It has a dignity and a natural variety that no suburb or shopping center could match. But it happens only by intent.
Granted that design alone will not solve all our city problems. Nonetheless, it's certain that good public spaces make people feel better and act better. And that's part of our problem. Humane cities earn a kind of loyalty. You don't see many graffiti in the good places. What you see is people acting like friends and lovers. People looking as if they feel at home.
The city is our home. Let us recapture our downtowns for people and make our cities as great in the sight of history as those we admire and visit abroad.
Lovely. Shopping is kind of erratic, and it's nice to be able to run across the street without having to watch out for being hit by a car.
Would you like to see it done more often?
Yeah, I think it'd be very... I've seen it reasonable. I can't be done. That's another thing it cuts down on, is those goddamn horns. I've never seen a city where people use their horns the way they do in New York. Well, that's not true, but Seattle surely doesn't have it.
Because who needs that exhaust from the bus? We want to have one street that is free of everything.
Do you like it better without the buses?
Oh, yes.
What about you?
I don't like the buses.
He agrees with me.
I was just walking down the street and I heard these two chicks go up to this girl who's with a camera crew. And the chick who walks up says, "Say, you all shooting a movie here?" And girl with a camera crew says, yeah, we are. Yeah. So this southern visitor type, she says, well, how'd you get permission to get it all blocked off?
That's why I live in the city, because we haven't moved to the country yet.